Hello, welcome back to my channel if you're coming back, and welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. I'm Tara, and today's video is, I don't know, probably one of my favorite things to film to date. I mean, I haven't filmed it yet, so I don't know, but I'm excited to film it because it's literally about the book that is changing my life for the absolute best. It's been, I want to say, around a month now since I first started reading it. And I say started reading it because it's one of those books that literally started changing my life as I started reading it. Like, I didn't have to get to the end for the effects. I started feeling them straight away. Feeling them, it sounds like I'm talking about some sort of drug, but I mean, sign me up. So, I mean, you've seen the title already, so you know what book I'm talking about. It is this book, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. This is what it looks like. I'm showing it partly for the thumbnail that this is going to help me get, but also just because this is iconic. I feel like this is just an iconic image to me now. Just this horse running on the beach. I feel like I'm this horse running on the beach. And as you can see there, it is a #1 New York Times bestseller, more than 1 million copies sold. At this point, God knows how many copies it sold because, yeah, it's a very popular book. You know, he's been featured on Oprah and all that. So, yeah, this is what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm just going to quickly do a disclaimer or a prefix to this just to say I've never done a book review before. As in on video. Obviously, I think we've all done book reviews in school and stuff like that. But I've never done like an official book review before. I'm not following any format. I'm just talking as me. I'm not talking as an expert in anything. I'm just talking as an individual who is going through a massive spiritual journey. And yeah, I've found a book that literally turned a lot of things on for me and helped me understand things that I think we all know and we all hear, but there was just something about the way he writes, the way he tells stories, and it's, yeah, like I said, my intro to this wasn't dramatic. It genuinely has changed my life for the better. So I just want to talk a little bit about what the premise of the book is. And I think actually normally the best person to do that is the author themselves. You know, why should I give my prefix? Obviously, I'll read what Michael Singer obviously said about his own book, and then I will tell you what I got from it. And okay, so who are you really? What would it be like to be free from limitations and soar beyond your boundaries? What can you do each day to find this kind of inner peace and freedom? The Untethered Soul offers a simple, profoundly intuitive answer to these questions. Whether this is your first exploration of inner space or you've devoted your life to the inward journey, this book will transform your relationship with yourself and the world around you. The Untethered Soul begins by walking you through your relationship with your thoughts and emotions, helping you uncover the source and fluctuations of your inner energy. It then delves into what you can do to free yourself from the habitual thoughts, emotions, and energy patterns that limit your consciousness. Finally, with perfect clarity, this book opens the door to life lived in the freedom of your innermost being. Wow, even reading that synopsis, literally, the book has done this for me. It has done that for me. And I can make that bold claim, because genuinely, since reading this book, I think for me, the reason it struck a chord so instantly, because I've had now a book club around this, I've spoken, some other people that also read the book, and they were at different stages, when they read the book for the first time, for instance, and some people, really read it and they're like, oh, whatever. But I think it depends on what stage that you read this book. And honestly, for me, I was lucky that I've read this book at a time that I'm already working on my spirituality. I'm already going through the awakening, so to speak. It's one of the reasons I started this channel, because I kind of want to share this journey, and it's a journey of experiencing life. I want to share those experiences because why not? I have it within me to want to do that. I have it within me to want to talk and discuss. I have it within me to want to spread the knowledge that I'm also gaining. So why absolutely not start this channel? That's how my brain worked, which is why I followed that flow and I started the channel. And it's stuff like that that's almost reinforced by this book for me. Anyway, let me always prefix with that. For me, this is how I received the message. So talking more, like a little bit more about the book, rather than what it's done for me, is if we look at, let's actually just look at chapter 1, right? And chapter 1, sorry, I'm just opening it, is called The Voice Inside Your Head. And this is literally where it all, like I said, from the moment I started reading the book, it clicked. So the voice inside your head, it talks about how we all have that voice inside our head. That's the biggest equalizer, with every human being. We all have that voice inside our head. We all have our mind, right? And our mind is constantly chattering, constantly going on, constantly, right? If you were to just give me one sec. Yeah, sorry about that awkward cut that's probably going to be there. Something went in my eye and I couldn't find it. But yeah, so I was saying about this book, the voice in our heads, the great equalizer. We all have thoughts, all of us, right? And that voice in your head, for some reason, for all of us, is our advisor. And I say for some reason, I mean, it's because it's literally the voice in our head. That's the reason. However, what this book does, and what really that first chapter and like the next few chapters are about, is specifically that voice in your head. Why do we let that voice in our head decide things for us? Why do we let that voice in our head really shape and create things that aren't actually real? In the sense that the voice in your head, when you stop and you listen to it, it's always arguing both sides of the story. Always. You're having an argument with yourself in your head. But actually, it's not you, is it? It's not you having an argument with yourself in your head. It's your mind having an argument with itself. Who you are within this is the observer. So that's what this book is about. You are what's hearing those thoughts, right? You're the observer. You're the one back here watching, listening, receiving, and experiencing and observing. That's the bit of you that is you. Do you guys still following? You still with me? So that's already step 1 is what he's talking about there. Step 1 is identifying the thoughts, separating those from you because they are not you. If they were you, you wouldn't be arguing both sides of the story. Why is it so, always to one extreme? It's always, oh, let's do this really dramatic thing. No, let's not do that dramatic thing because this is more dramatic here. You know, stuff like, you know, he gives the example of when you're going to your wedding, and, you know, this side is like, oh, I don't think you should be marrying Tom. And the other side is like, oh, but I love Tom. I really want to spend the rest of my life with him. And then the other side is like, and you literally will just, like, that voice will never shut up. That's the thing. If you let it, it would keep going forever, right? And the thing is, it doesn't even just concentrate on one topic. So it's not like it wants you, it's going to concentrate on you marrying Tom, and then it's going to, you know, stick with you until you figured it out, whatever that is. It will jump from, oh, I don't want to marry Tom, to, oh my God, McDonald's. I haven't been to McDonald's in a while. Should we go to McDonald's? I don't think we should. And then now it's starting a whole other argument about whether or not you should go to McDonald's and da 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 da. And what we do as human beings is, for whatever reason, we actually let this voice decide for us. We let this voice lead us. Rather than remembering that we're the ones in charge, we don't have to get caught up in the madness and the absolute insanity of what our brains can actually do. And I shouldn't say brains, let me say mind, because that's, you know, that's a different thing. But like what our minds can do. And the other chapter in here, called The Roommate, one of my actual favorite chapters, is he talks about the roommate, again, referring to the voice in your head. And he actually has this this example that he gives where he goes, it's not even an example, it's an exercise it's actually asking you to do, where it says, embody or give a body or give a structure to you, to the voice in your head, and almost remove it in a way. I was able to do this quite easily because I'm a very visual person. I also think that's why this book worked extremely well for me, because I am a very visual person. I love stories. I love hearing a story. Most of the things that I watch on my own YouTube is just stories. Just people talking. I can listen to people talk all day because I have this brain that just literally creates HDR, 4K films in front of me of whatever it is that you're describing. It's very easy for me to put myself in something. I can very easily embody a situation. I think that's actually why I struggled with my emotions a lot, and why I was always hypersensitive, and I'll let you know why I'm speaking in past tense about that as well. It's the book. But like, I was always hypersensitive to like just emotions and situations. Again, I still see that as a good thing. It's just about learning to control that, you know, in the right way, rather than just getting caught up with everything. So for me, that's why this book was very effective, because he's amazing at telling stories. He gives amazing analogies and examples that, again, I was able to embody. So I almost felt like I lived through all the examples. Perhaps that's why it struck such an instant chord with me. But anyway, going back to the point I was making, which is the roommate. So he actually encourages you to, almost for an entire day, just let your mind be, but like, watch it. The whole point is, don't get caught up in it. Watch it. Be that observer. Once you actually know, like, once you do just the different exercises that he encourages you to do there, it's easy to do that. But for me, it was easy to do that, again, because like I said, of the way that my brain works anyway, is I am able to visualize things. And if somebody is telling a story or giving a visual instruction, it's very easy for me to do that. And I live alone as well, which makes it, again, easy for me to be able to talk out loud to myself, which is what I was doing with the roommate. Did the exercise where literally it was almost as if it was another person next to me, and it's just about observing, watching and listening to them. And that's the whole point. He wants you to observe, and he wants you to watch them, and he wants you to listen to what your roommate says, because they're an absolute psychopath. And it's one of the chapters in not one of the chapters, but one of the points that I circled, because it just made me laugh so much. It's just the way he said it. Oh, let me find it. So I've got so many things highlighted in here. Okay, So there it is in a highlight. This book, by the way, is probably going to be destroyed in a year. I've only just started annotating it and stuff like that. So literally goes, but first you have to realize that you've been locked in there with the maniac. And I loved that line so much because I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. Because once you do that roommate exercise and you actually listen to the things that are coming out of its mouth, you're just like, madam or sir or they, or, you know, whatever it is that you've created and envisioned. It's like, are you all right? Are you okay? And the answer is no. I don't think they are okay. And that's almost the point. They're not okay, because when you do actually concentrate on your mind and you just let it speak and you just let it do what it wants to do all the time, you will find that it is a maniac. It's an absolute lunatic. Absolute lunatic. Like, the things it comes out with, like the arguments that it makes, like just the fact that it even can't concentrate on one thing for the full amount of time it needs to concentrate on it. It's like one, you know, it's here 1 minute, it's there the next. And it's actually such an eye-opening exercise to do. And then obviously kind of the whole point of him making you do that is he goes, so if this person now, right, this voice, if this was an actual person that wasn't connected to you in any way, and they were trying to tell you how to live your life, and they were trying to tell you the things that will make you happy, and not even the things that will make you happy, just in general, you want to get your life advice, would you get it from this maniac if this maniac wasn't the voice in your head? And the answer is no. That's the thing. The answer is no. I don't care who you are or whatever. The answer is no, because there's absolutely no way. I mean, unless actually you just like a chaotic life or whatever, then the answer might be yes. But for the average person, for the most part, it's no. So it's about saying, okay, so why do we then let the voice decide everything? And for me, again, I had the issue of generalized anxiety disorder. And for me, now that I know what I know, I can very tangibly actually say it was that voice, because it is the voice. It drives you mad. And I think for me, like, the generalized anxiety disorder was because I just had a very strong sense of that voice. That voice was strong. And that voice would tell me all of these things that you're just like, whoa. And it's, you know, hard to handle if you're not at the stage where I am now, where I know that that voice isn't me. That voice actually really has nothing to do with me, in the sense that, again, listening to it with a clear brain of, I'm stepping out of this. I'm not in the storm. I'm not in the eye. I'm stepping out of this to actually observe. And I was like, this voice is a lunatic. Why did I let this voice literally affect my entire life the way it did? It made me ill. Like, if you guys have seen the video, I think it's probably 2 videos ago now, where I talked about my mental breakdown last year. That video obviously didn't go into the deep, dark depths of everything. I will probably do a separate video at some other time that I actually go into the full darkness of what it felt like to be in a mental nervous breakdown. Because the stuff I was talking about in that original video, which I don't really know how this YouTube thing works, you know, when you have it pop up here. If that's something you guys want to watch, do watch it. It just goes over the surface feelings. It goes over, you know, what I was going through on the surface level, and what I was feeling again on the surface level. But it doesn't really go into the deep dark depths. Again, it would have been a super long video if you want to go into every nuance, so I will do a separate one. But I can almost clearly see now what the issue was. It's mad. Because this book encourages you a lot. And obviously when I read this book, I then also started following just other Michael Singer's teachings and like watching videos and interviews and talks that he's done to fully grasp everything. And it's so clear to see what the problems were. And that's the thing about this book, is it's talking about something that it's not complicated. It really is not complicated. It's simple. It's simple theories. And again, this is probably going to be a long video because there's so much I can go into about this. I'll go into later things when it comes to like happiness and surrendering and all that. I love it. But like, it's simple stuff that we all knew. It's not telling you anything that you've not heard somebody say before. But yeah, so everything is simple. It's just about actually realizing what it's saying, embodying it, and implementing it. So again, that was the first step, is knowing that your thoughts are not you, that your mind are not you, and just learning to observe them rather than getting just swept up by them all the time. And also rather than letting it decide things for you, because really we shouldn't do that. Because yeah, try the roommate exercise and you'll understand why it's so funny to me now that I let it lead my life for so long. It's like, why did I do that? Literally. But anyway, read the book and you'll know what I mean. So the next few chapters then after this, once he has you understanding, understanding that separation and understanding who you are and that you're the observer, he then starts talking about the other things, really that have been blocking us, the blockers, right? And there's loads of different chapters about this now going forward. It's because he loves to tell a story. He loves a good analogy. He loves making sure that you understand that separation. So it starts to go deeper, and it's looking at really everything else around us now. So now we've established that you are not your mind, you are not your thoughts. Now you also need to start knowing, like, further in about observing it and experiencing that's what, okay, this is what I took from it. He didn't specifically say that that was the purpose of life. But for me, I've realized that the purpose of life that we're all trying to figure out is really just experiencing the world, allowing yourself to experience the world fully, embracing it fully, and knowing that regardless of how much you try and resist, the world is going to world regardless. And that's the thing that he talks about, the surrendering. And it is just about surrendering, because what's resisting really done for you? If you think about it, what has resisting really done for you? Nothing. All resisting does is sorry, I was taking off my shoes, they're getting comfortable. All resisting does is you end up holding on to these negative feelings and thoughts and stuff like that. And again, he gives great examples of stuff like if you went through a really bad breakup, and you were in a particular car, you were in a blue car when you went through this really bad breakup now, and you think, oh, you're over it, yeah, you're done with that. But now 3 years later down the line, you see a blue car and it makes you feel some type of way. That blue car now affects you negatively. Now you can never look at blue cars in the same way because they trigger something in you. And I think we can all understand this point, because I think we all have that. For me, it always used to be like songs and music. Like, they'd be certain songs that it's just a normal song, it's just a song, but it would have this emotional trigger on me because it would just remind me of someone that I didn't particularly want to be thinking about anymore because they hurt me or whatever it was. And there's so many examples of this that we can all give and we can all relate to. And isn't that fascinating that with these things in the world have such power over us? And that's because at the time we resisted the feeling, we resisted the emotion, we resisted whatever experience we were experiencing at that time, because to us, we don't like it when the outside world doesn't do what we want the outside world to do. And how mad is that? Who are we? Like, though this world was here before we were born, and it's gonna be here after we're dead. So who are we to come on this earth and then we now want to start making all these rules about, oh, I'm only going to be happy when this and this and this happens. Oh, I'm only going to be fulfilled when this and this happens. I'm only going to... It's like, okay, yeah, you will, because you've made that decision now. You've made that choice that you're only going to be happy when this and this and this happens. But since when have you been able to control the world in that way? Yes, you can control how you view the world. That's all down to you. That comes from you. You can control your mind. You can control your output into the world. That's all you can control. This world is filled with other people. I don't know why we forget this all the time. Like, it's literally the thing we see all the time. This world is filled with other people. And as long as there's other people, you're never going to be able to control the world. So why do we keep trying to do that? And whenever something out of our control happens, that's when we experience discomfort. That's when we experience unhappiness. And this example is, again, meant to be just as simple as that. That's why when somebody gets really ill, you know, we let that affect us. When somebody, you know, passes away, when somebody dies, you know, when somebody dies at a young age, when we just experience really awful, bad things in the world, we resist them because this is something that's happening that does not match what we decided in our head the world was supposed to be. Now, you can spend your entire life resisting that. You can spend your entire life being upset by these things. And of course, you're going to react in human ways. No one is absolutely saying you shouldn't or taking that away. But it's really up to you after that then, what you do with that information. It's really up to you after, you know, after that, how you choose to, I don't want to say choose to feel about that thing, but just how you choose to experience whatever it is, like insert whatever it is here, right? And it's such, again, it sounds so simple, but for me, it really was. I really could just keep letting myself get swept up in my emotions. And the way I picture it now in my head is, it's almost like a tornado, right? Like a really bad storm. You can watch a tornado really go past. You can watch it. You can see it. It will affect you. Of course it will affect you. It's a tornado. Like, it's going past. It's going to go. It's going to do what it does. It's going obviously to create the destruction it's going to create. But you can watch it, right? And you can watch it. You can experience it. You can accept that it's happening. You cannot be resisting to it, because what's you resisting it going to do? It's not going to do anything. So you may as well just let it pass through and let it do what it needs to do, right? Or you have tornado chasers. Is that what they're called? Storm chasers, tornado chasers, whatever they are. You've got those people that want to be involved. They want to get up and close to that tornado. I don't know if people want to get into the middle of it, but I know you can. You can get into the eye of the storm. You can do that. That's a thing that can happen, right? And I think, to me, that's the best analogy for how I receive things now. I can choose to either watch them as a tornado. I can let them pass through. I can let them do what they need to do. I can see, okay, yeah, this is happening. Okay, I'm feeling this. Okay, yeah. And let it pass through. Get what I need to get from it. Get the lesson that I need to get from it. Whatever it is, right? I can choose to do that. But I think as human beings, for whatever reason, we always go into the storm. And I don't think we're consciously choosing that, obviously, at the time that we're doing it. It's because we're not aware. We're just kind of living life and doing the things that we kind of think are the way that we're supposed to be doing things, right? And we get so involved with our emotions and so involved in, like, this didn't go my way. I'm upset. Like, my business has failed. My partner has left me. People hate me, or whatever it is that is making you feel some type of way, whatever bad. And I'll do this because obviously what's bad for me isn't always what's bad for you. we're all human beings. It's all relative, right? But like whatever bad thing is happening, I can still choose now to get fully involved with that and get in and be like, okay, you know, I feel bad. This is happening. Or I can be like, okay, you know, this is just something else in life that I'm experiencing. Me resisting it doesn't mean that this thing isn't happening or hasn't happened. A lot of the times it's things that have already happened, but even more of the times it's things that haven't happened. It's sitting here and our brains, again, our amazing roommate up there, will sit here with you and will make up all of these scenarios of how your life can go wrong, of all the bad things that can happen, and this and that and this, and that will affect you. You're living through it. You're living through that pain. You're living through those negative emotions, almost like one, you're reliving the thing that's already happened, right? Or two, you are worrying, you're being anxious about things that could happen. Really, a lot of the time, those things don't even happen, but that's what worry is, right? You're just worrying. Your brain's going through different scenarios about how things can go bad and go wrong, and you're living in that, and you're experiencing that emotion, because our brains, really, the reason our mind does all of these things all of the time, the reason that, you know, you'll go outside and it's cold and your brain will go, oh, it's cold. Like, you already know that, right? So why would your mind be telling you it's cold? It's because your mind is actually what helps you experience the world outside. It's almost like a filter, right? It's a filter that helps you, it helps you experience what's going on in the outside world. That's why it will tell you obvious things that you already know, like, oh, there's a tractor driving past there, oh, there's a silver car behind it, oh, there's a van behind it. Like, that's literally, if I just looked over there, which is what's happening, my mind would just keep telling me these things. And your mind is doing this constantly. You just obviously are not always concentrating on what your mind is saying or doing, right? So if we're constantly letting our minds, by the way, go through all of these scenarios of things that are gonna happen, that could happen, that happened, that may, we're putting ourselves through all of these emotions. We're living through that reality over and over and over again. And there's absolutely no reason for you to be doing that. It's not serving you in any way, is it? I mean, you tell me, is it serving you? I mean, if it is, do you, boo-boo? Like, but I can almost guarantee that it's not serving you in a positive way most of the time, right? Most of the time. So yeah, that's one thing that he talks about. He also gives great examples here of people that are trying to come up with ways and trying to come up with formulas for, you know, feeling complete joy or feeling complete love and feeling all of these things. And he gives the example of a thorn. He talks about, so if you had this thorn, right, in your side, and this thorn in your side was really the bane of your existence. Every time you move, every time you even do anything, this thorn just feels uncomfortable. Like if somebody hugs you and whatever, it hurts. Like, so you start avoiding these things that will irritate your thorn, right? You start avoiding hugs, you start avoiding just things that make you move too much, just anything at all that will irritate this thorn, right? And then you'll think for a while, oh, actually, I've got to figure it out. As long as I don't do all of these things, this thorn won't hurt me. But have you really solved the problem? No, because that thorn is still ruling your life. You could even go as far as that thorn will make you rich. You come up with this device and it's a life-changing device that literally you figured out a way to, like, you wear this thing and it kind of protects the thorn, and it means that you can have a hug from somebody and it doesn't irritate the thorn. You know, you can do a little bit more movement and it doesn't irritate the thorn. And because that product works so well for you, you start a company around it, you become a millionaire, and you're selling this thorn protection device to everybody. And yeah, you think, oh my God, This thorn, it's made me rich. I've got all this money. I've got all whatever. I can hug people now. Oh, but it's a little bit uncomfortable to sleep. Oh, but I have to take the device off and I have to blah, 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 blah. But guess what? That thorn is still the decider. That thorn is still the one in charge of your life. No matter what you look at it as, is why don't you just remove that thorn? This entire time, all you had to do was to just remove the thorn, and you would have actually solved that issue. You would have solved that problem. It's another analogy that he gives. This book, I feel like, is just full of just different stories that help you understand this concept. Thorn analogy, you can find that in chapter 9. That's the remove your thorn. And then the house analogy was, I'm sure it was chapter, I'll figure out all of these chapters, by the way, and put them after. I'm just on such a roll now talking about it. I'd even forgotten to keep referring back. But this is, I think, actually, I'm glad that this review is turning out the way it is without me even having to go back to the chapters and show all of that. It's because that's how impactful this book was. So far I've only read it through once, and now I'm actually just in the middle of reading it again, and like going in and annotating and making notes and stuff like that. But it stuck with me so much. I can remember these stories, I can remember these examples so clearly, that I didn't actually have to keep referring to the book, which I'm actually really happy about. But anyway, so this other example it gives is of this house. I'm not going to do the whole story because he goes into detail, but I'll just do the best bits so you can understand. Spoiler alerts, by the way. But like he talks about, picture this absolute sun-drenched place. It's full of light. It's just a light spot, a light magnet, right? Then you start building your house. Build your house up in that spot, okay? Once you start building that house, you realize, oh, I don't feel like this house is secure enough. I'm going to change the material that this house is built in. You're building that house now in a stronger material. You're like, okay, I feel safe. Oh, actually, I've got too many windows here. I feel too exposed, and actually, I don't feel safe again. So I'm just going to build up and not have as many bright big windows. Still have windows, but just not as many as before to feel secure, right? So you build in, okay, now you have your brick house with your good amount of windows, but not too many, not too big. And then you go, okay, yeah, I like it, but I still feel not as safe as I can be. Right, I'm going to up the security here. So you get some shutters. You get some shutters that go around everywhere, that completely lock the doors, that completely lock the windows. Basically, you feel more secure. It's not as easy to get in. It's not as easy to get out. Okay, I love it. Oh, but I still don't feel as secure as I can feel. Okay, those shutters now, I'm going to close them. I'm going to close the shutters. I don't know, just because I want to feel secure. We've closed the shutters now. So now we don't have light in the house. So I'm going to invest in some of the best LED lights. Okay, sweet. Oh yeah, I've got these bright LED lights. Amazing. So now I feel secure in this house, and I've got these amazing LED lights. And that's all I really need. I don't need any connection with the outside world. I've got my books, I've got my writings, and that's all I need. I feel secure, I feel happy, I'm here, I've got my bright lights. That's all I really need. And yeah, I'm secure and happy in here. And you live in that for a while. You're in that, you're living in it. Your super bright house, you've got your writing, you've got your books, and really you're living the perfect life in your eyes. Everything is as exactly as it needs to be. You feel secure, and now you don't even remember the outside world. You've created your own little world in here. Everything you need. You've got a pantry full of food. You've got, like I said, those amazing lights. You've got all the books in the world that you need. You've got all the notebooks, all the ink, all the pen. So you are secure, you are content, and this life is starting to just make sense to you. You don't even remember what the outside world was like, right? Okay. Now, your lights start to dim in the house now. It's been a couple of years, and those lights, those amazing bright LED lights, they start to dim. So now your entire house isn't lit all the time. You're starting to preserve it. So you're only turning the lights on in the rooms that you're in and, you know, whatever that you're doing. So the house isn't as bright as it used to be. But it doesn't matter. You still have your lights. You still feel secure. You still have your books. You still have your writings. You're still pretty content, pretty happy. A few more years keep going by. Now those lights are starting to burn out. You still have a few around the house, but they're starting to burn out now, and you don't have replacements for those lights. But again, you still feel secure, still feel content, you still have your books, you still have your writings, and you're still okay. And then the lights all completely go. Those LEDs, they've all burnt out now, so there's no light. So even your books and your writings, you can't really get that joy and satisfaction from them anymore because you can't see. There's no light, there's no nothing. So you sit there, you're miserable, and then you remember, oh, I've got candles. Oh my God. Oh, I completely forgot I had candles. Right, you go find your candles. Oh, you feel happy again. You've got some light. You can go back to your books, you can go back to your writings, and you go along with your candlelight. And then, again, about a year later, your candles have all burnt out. You have no more candles. You're back to complete darkness now. This time round, though, you've completely lost motivation in everything. You're in complete darkness all the time. You have no more candles. That means you have no more books. That means you have no more writings because you can't see. So you're miserable. You're not doing anything. You're in the dark. You're just sitting there day after day and you're becoming miserable and you're almost getting to this point of, what is the point? Why am I even still here? Why am I even still trying? Because I've got nothing. I've literally got nothing but blackness. And then you hear a sound downstairs. I have a basement. I completely freaking forgot I had a basement. Oh my God. You run down to the basement and you realize that sound. Not only do you go down to the basement and there's this bright light in there and you're like, what's going on? You actually forget you had a helper with you, living with you the entire time. So you found another person and that light, flashlights. Oh my gosh. It's bright. It's obviously brighter than that candlelight that you last had. And it's been a while since you've seen light. So it feels even brighter. And you're like, oh, yes, I found a person. Now I've got a companion. And now we have lights. So your life almost restarts again. You've got your flashlights. You've got this companion. You and this companion do everything together. You write together. You read together. Now you've got somebody to tell your stories. They tell you their stories, and it feels amazing. You feel great and you're like, oh my gosh, life is amazing again. We've got our flashlights and everything is great. And then those flashlights start to die out. Those flashlights start to burn out, and that person now doesn't really bring you as much joy as they brought you before. Now it's just like, ugh, we're in this darkness and there's this other person, and you go back to that depressive state again. You go back to that darkness again of, well, I can't do anything anyway because it's dark. I can't see. I can't do anything. I've completely run out of light now. I don't have candles. All my LEDs are burnt out. All of our flashlights are burnt out. What is even the point? This person that brought me so much joy before, they don't bring me shit anymore. I don't want to be here. What is the point? I don't feel safe and secure in here now. I just feel like I'm in prison. So if you've stuck with me throughout that story, some of you might be going, hey, why don't you just open the freaking shades? Why don't you just open the freaking, those blinds that you closed yourself in? Well, not blinds, because it's a bit more dramatic than that. But why don't you just open that? Because do you remember where you built your house? You built your house in a light spot. There's so much light and sunshine there that when you finally open that shade and all this light pours in, and it was just as simple as opening the shade. This entire time, you could have just opened the shades and you would have had all the light that you could have ever wanted and needed and more. And it's natural. It's never gonna go out. It's there always. But you completely forgot that. Do you remember? You forgot the outside world because you felt like you didn't need the outside world. You felt like you had everything you needed in this safe, secure place that you completely created how you wanted. And even after it started going bad, you almost forgot that, hey, I just need to open my blinds. I just need to open my shade and I can get all of this light in. That's really what this book is trying to do. This is what this book did for me. That analogy was perfect, and that story really embodies and encompasses how I felt and how I now feel. It felt like my mind had created this trap for me. I was in this perpetual state of everybody hates me, why am I so unlovable, of just feeling like a complete, and really when you think about it, the reason I say my mind was a lunatic that I listened to all this time was because when you look around at my life and you look at the things that I achieved and the things that I had no reason whatsoever to believe all of the things my mind was telling me, right? But my mind was telling me all of these things just because of the core beliefs that we all build up when we're growing in the world. All of this information that we're taking in, we're not just taking it in and it's not going anywhere. We're taking it in and it develops us as people. It develops our personalities. It develops our view of the world and the things around us. It even develops, I think, sometimes some of the mental, I know for a fact for me, it was a big contributor to the mental health issues that I suffered with. You know, a lot of it being anxiety and that feeling of lack of control and just being overwhelmed by everything around me. And it's because this entire time I was resisting. This entire time I kept looking for this answer that was this big thing that I did not know. And I just needed to find this one answer that would, I don't know, just answer everything for me and give me everything that I thought I ever wanted. And all along, it was always within me. It's always been me. This is what I meant before when I was saying I feel like I've figured out the purpose of life, the purpose of my life at least. And it's just to live and it's to experience and it's to share. That's really what a human is all about. Is to experience, to be, to share, to love, and to be joyful, and to not put any conditions around that. The reasons I feel like I struggled and the reasons I think a lot of us are struggling is because we're not really doing that. We're resisting life. We're so bent up on this image of what we think life should look like without realizing life looks exactly like what it should look like already, because it is. It already is. Life is life. So it already is life. Why are we trying to find another thing? That's what the problem is we're not just living and accepting that this is just what it is. And this doesn't mean that people shouldn't have goals. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't be trying to make things better. Absolutely not. This is not me saying just accept things and get on with it. Absolutely not. If anything, this has just taught me more about my output. This has really shown me just how much the only thing I can control is my output. It's what I'm bringing out into the world. I can't control what that person's going to do. I can't. I cannot control that. I cannot control whether the sun sets or rises today. I cannot control if it's cloudy and it's raining outside. I can't control those things. And yet these are all things that we let affect us. Like literally people will wake up, they'll go, oh, it's freaking raining today. Oh, my day's going to be shit because it's raining. How mental is that when you think about it? To literally wake up and the world is just being the world and you're deciding that's a bad thing. It's raining today. Well, screw you, rain. I'm going to be miserable today because it's raining. Oh my gosh, we do that. It's as simple as just not doing that. It's as simple as just experiencing everything, remembering that you're the observer, remembering that all of these things around you are just here to help you experience life. Get out of your head or just observe it. But don't get caught up in it. Don't let that be the decider of what quality of life that you have. Because if you're constantly waiting for this eureka moment, and you're constantly waiting for this one thing that's going to give you all the feelings that you ever wanted to feel, I'm sorry to tell you, you're going to be waiting forever. Because that's another big point that he makes in the book, is talking about that external stimulus, that thing where when somebody asks you, what do you want? And you'll start listing stuff like, oh, I want a partner that loves me. Oh, I want this particular type of job because I want to, it's going to allow me to earn this. Oh, I want this. Those are not the things that you want. What you want is the feeling that those things are going to give you. And what that all goes back down to is love and happiness. That's all we really want to feel as human beings. Love and happiness. And really, that's up to you. And honestly, it is. It's about opening yourself. It's about opening your heart and just being open. It's about not resisting, because resisting is a closing emotion. It closes you. So stop resisting those bad feelings or those bad experiences, in the sense that just let it pass through you. Experience it. But don't hold on to it. You resisting is going to hold on to it, and it will keep coming back up. It will keep coming back up until you do the work to release it. And I'm not going to go through the entirety of the book, how it ends or whatever. I mean, not that there's an end in that sense, but that's the gist of the book. That's what he goes through. Those were just some of the stories that he gives as an example, some of the teachings, but there's a lot more, and I don't want to ruin this book for you. This detailed review has obviously been also including my thoughts, my applications, how it's worked for me, what it made me realize. So there's a lot in this review of my own, obviously, thoughts and learnings and teachings. So this is a personal review of the Untethered Soul, rather than just a generic, unbiased book review. It's a personal, biased review of this book. And I encourage every single person that watches this video, pick this book up. Go into it with absolute just openness, and you will get everything that you need to get from it. It's incredible in its simplicity. That's what makes this book literally one of the best books I've ever written. I should have actually probably started this video with saying, I am a bookworm. I have, oh my God. I mean, it's not, as you become an adult, you have less time. When I was younger, I used to read about 4 books a week. And I'm talking primary school to high school, like 4 books a week at least. At least. I have so many books in my repertoire that I read in a day because I couldn't stop reading them. And I'm saying all that to say, this is one of the best books I've ever read, in the sense that I got exactly what it is I was supposed to get from it. It's written in a very simple, explicit way. And by explicit, I just mean obvious, tangible. It's not riddles. It's not, you have to do mental gymnastics. He just tells you what you need to know from this. And yeah, I'm in love, and I 10 out of 10 recommend. 10 out of 10 recommend that everybody reads this book. Okay, so that is the end of my review of this book. I am probably, this is very, very highly likely going to end up doing chapter reviews. So like I said, this review is done after just reading it for the first time, just once over. At the moment, I'm in the middle of going back, reading it again, actually highlighting stuff, making notes, and taking more in. And so I'm actually likely to do a chapter by chapter review probably at some point after I've read it through again. Or maybe I will actually consciously do a chapter, then a review, a chapter, then a review on it. I don't know. But this is my new Bible. It is my new Bible, so highly recommended by me. The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. And yeah, thank you for reaching this part of the video. If you did reach this part of the video, this was a very long video, but like I said, an absolute life changer of a book for me. My life is exponentially 10 times, 10 times is an underestimate. It's just exponentially better. I've been utilizing it in my everyday life. I've been utilizing it at work. My stress levels, literally my stress levels were going like this, and now my stress levels are down. My happiness levels, oh my gosh, I find joy in everything now. I speak out loud about my gratefulness of things. Little things I find joy in. I have a new thirst for life, a new thirst of experiences. My fear has gone. My fear of death has gone. There is just so much I could get into that would make this video literally 24 hours long if I kept going, which is why I think I'll definitely do the chapter by chapter review, so I can literally talk about the chapter and talk about how I've applied it in my life. But I just want you to know I've applied it and my life is exponentially better. I can boldly say that. I also want to do another shameless plug here. I now have a podcast that I started, again, inspired by this book. It was on a whim. It was just, I had so many thoughts that I just wanted to say to someone. And I was like, I don't know who to say this to. Podcast. It's train of thoughts type thing in my podcast. Probably just more of this, but less structured in the podcast, because I just talk, there's pauses, there's whatever, almost like I'm having a conversation with you. I mean, kind of like this, but more real, more feeling, less editing. Actually, I don't think this video is going to have much editing, to be fair, because I've just been on a roll. But yeah, I'm going to post my podcast in the description below as well, so you can check that out. There's 2 episodes on there so far. I don't have a schedule, it's just as is. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you decide to pick up the book if you haven't already. I hope maybe you got a different perspective if you've already read the book and maybe didn't quite get it. I hope maybe this helped. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. I post videos here every week, so please do come back if you like it. Subscribe to my channel, like this video if you like the video, and love, light, and unconditional happiness. I love you. Bye.